Morning, everyone. Please rise for the pledge. I pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Motion to recess the Commissioners' meeting to hold a retirement board meeting.
Motion.
Second.
Motion is second. Any questions? All in favor?
Aye.
Motion to call the retirement board meeting to order.
Motion.
Second.
Motion is second. All in favor?
Aye.
Motion to approve the August 20th, 2025 agenda.
Motion.
Second.
Motion is second. Any questions? All in favor?
Aye.
Motion to approve the July 16th, 2025 minutes.
Motion.
Second.
Motion is second. Any questions? All in favor?
Aye.
Under new business, motion to approve refunds of the contributions from employees no longer with the county, and there are 6 people listed.
Motion.
Second.
Motion is second. Any questions? All in favor?
Aye.
Motion to approve the following retirements, and there are 2 people listed.
Motion.
Second.
Motion is second. All in favor?
Aye.
Number 3, motion to approve Foster and Foster contract for the actuarial of the services.
Motion.
Second.
Motion is second. Any questions? All in favor?
Aye.
Motion to adjourn the retirement board meeting.
Motion.
Second.
Motion is second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Motion to reconvene the Commissioners' meeting.
Motion.
Second.
Motion is second. All in favor?
Aye.
Okay. Public comments or questions concerning today's agenda? Okay, seeing none. We move on to number 1. Motion to approve the August 20th, 2025 agenda.
Motion.
Second.
Motion is second. Any questions? All in favor?
Aye.
Motion to approve the August 6th, 2025 meeting minutes.
Motion.
Second.
Motion is second. All in favor?
Aye.
Motion to approve the August 13th, 2025 conference minutes.
Motion.
Second.
Motion is second. All in favor?
Aye.
Motion to approve payment from the general fund and county bills of $652,530.68.
Motion.
Second.
Motion is second. Any questions? All in favor?
Aye.
Motion to approve payment from the Jitsi North Fund in the amount of $37,852.
Motion.
Second.
Motion is second. Any questions? All in favor?
Aye.
Under personnel, motion to hire Janine Feekins-Kelso as an administrative clerk for CASA of Pike County for a 37.5-hour work week effective August 27th, 2025.
Motion.
Second.
Motion is second. All in favor?
Aye.
Motion to acknowledge receipt of a letter from the coroner Christopher Brighton appointing Krista Estella as deputy coroner in the coroner's office effective August 22nd, 2025.
Motion.
Second.
Motion is second. Any questions? All in favor?
Aye.
Motion to recess the Commissioners' meeting to hold a salary board meeting.
Motion.
Second.
Motion is second. All in favor?
Aye.
Under salary board, motion to convene the salary board.
Motion.
Second.
Motion is second. All in favor?
Aye.
Motion to approve the August 6th and August 13th, 2025 salary board minutes.
Motion.
Second.
Motion is second. All in favor?
Aye.
Motion to set the hourly rate of Janine Feekins-Kelso at $17 per hour as an administrative clerk for CASA of Pike County for a 37.5-hour work week effective August 27th, 2025.
Motion.
Second.
Motion is second. All in favor?
Aye.
Motion to set the rate per call of Krista Estella at $150 as deputy coroner in the coroner's office effective August 22nd, 2025.
Motion.
Second.
Motion is second. Any questions? All in favor?
Aye.
Motion to adjourn the salary board.
Motion.
Second.
Motion is second. All in favor?
Aye.
Motion to reconvene the Commissioners' meeting.
Motion.
Second.
Motion is second. All in favor?
Aye.
All business. Motion to award bids for the 2025-2026 annual beverage bid on behalf of the correctional facility to Bernard Food Industries in the amount of $5,572.80. Motion.
Second.
Motion is second. All in favor?
Aye.
Motion to authorize the chairman to execute change order number 6 from Night Well Drill for the Pike County Jail Complex Well number 3 Drilling and Development Project.
Motion.
Second.
Motion is second. All in favor?
Aye.
New business, motion to adopt resolution number 2523, a resolution approving Pike County supporting the Milford Star being restored to Milford Knob within the Delaware Water Gap National Recreation Area and actively participating in the restoration.
Motion.
Second.
Motion is second. All in favor?
Aye.
Krista, could you read that?
Resolution number 2523, resolution approving Pike County supporting the Milford Star being restored to the Milford Knob within Delaware Water Gap National Recreation Area and actively participating in the restoration thereof. Whereas the United States of America is rapidly approaching our 250th anniversary as a country in 2026, will be a year filled with patriotic demonstrations and memorials, which Pike County and the municipalities therein will actively participate in. And whereas the Milford Knob is a prominent figure of our cultural landscape and one that has been used for such patriotic demonstrations since the Spanish-American War, when local citizens placed a large American flag on the knob for all to enjoy. And whereas This same site also held the Milford Star from 1930 until 2018, and that this same star display is critically important to our living community and reflects values shared by all residents of Pike County. And whereas this community has existed historically for centuries and continues to exist and thrive in today's modern world. And whereas our community continues to share beliefs, customs, and practices that are rooted in our long history and continue to exist today. And whereas the demonstration of community, patriotism, and the connection to other historic buildings, persons, and events of the past are intrinsic to our values and very identity of our community is deeply associated with demonstrations of those values on the Milford Knob for all to enjoy. And whereas the Milford Star was erected by Mr. Metz and Milford community members and was originally powered by the historic Metz Ice House, now administered as part of DEWA in the Milford Borough Historic District and stood for nearly a century. And whereas the annual lighting of the star was a community tradition handed down through generations, with the lighted star becoming virtually a symbol of the town itself and the Lions Club acting as stewards on behalf of the local people. And whereas the Milford Star and the Milford Knob is a tangible representation of the beliefs, customs, and practices handed down for over a century in writing, in images, and in oral tradition. And whereas the site is connected to an important individual in local history, Mr. Metz, and in engineering through the road built to connect the knob and the town, and through the ice house, and the production of both ice and power, and through the original monument to the Spanish-American War, we determine it historically significant and meets the criteria for the National Register of Historic Places. Now, therefore, all these things are true. We, the Board of Commissioners of the County of Pike, call for the restoration of the Milford Star to the Milford Knob in cooperation with the Pike County Commissioners, National Park Service at Delaware Water Gap National Recreation Area, and the Secretary of Interior.
Thank you, Krista. So with that, we are also submitting an application to the National Park for a land use permit, because the first thing that needs to occur for the star is we need to get use of the land before we erect the star. So at the direction of a consultant that helped us understand the process through the national park, and it is a process. It's the federal government, nothing easy about it. That this is the course, what we'll call the course of least resistance right now to try and get this star reestablished. So we will be submitting an application today. With that, an application fee of like $125 and $75, so it's not a whole lot of money. And we will be directing it to Eamon Leidy, who is the superintendent of the national park here in Pike County. And along with that, we will be sending a letter to Congressman Brojahan to ask for his support. I was with him yesterday, and I was with Eamon Leidy all day yesterday, and this came up. And we believe that, it's not just Eamon's decision. This has to go through the national park. It's a big organization, but we support this. And once this is accomplished, once we get this permit, and we feel comfortable that we will and confident, we then will deal with people like the Lions Club and work with the Lions Club. We know that we're doing this, and they can go up there and read it to our direction. They can put the star up, just like it was before. But somebody needed to take the lead in this application. Somebody has to hold some liability insurance on the property. It's a minimal amount, but it seemed like the county is the proper entity to do this. So we are sending that in today. So with that said, we can move on to number 2. Motion to execute the contract extension for audit services from Z&A LLC.
Motion.
Second.
Motion is second. All in favor? Aye. Motion to reappoint Fred Mustek to the Pocono County's Workforce Development Area Board for a 3-year term ending June 30th, 2028.
Motion.
Second.
Motion is second. All in favor? Aye. Motion to appoint Joe Dunn to the Pike County Road Task Force to fill an unexpired term ending December 31st, 2026.
Motion.
Second.
Motion is second. All in favor?
Aye.
Motion to execute the fiscal year 24-25 certification page for Act 148, fourth quarter, on behalf of the Children and Youth Services.
Motion.
Second.
Motion is second. All in favor?
Aye.
Motion to execute fiscal year 24-25 budget amendment and certification statement on behalf of the Children and Youth Services.
Motion.
Second.
Motion is second. All in favor?
Aye.
Motion to execute fiscal year 24-25 Family First Transition Act invoice claim on behalf of Children and Youth Services.
Motion.
Second.
Motion is second. All in favor?
Aye.
Motion to execute the purchase of service agreement between Alternative Living Solutions and the County of Pike on behalf of Children and Youth Services.
Second.
Motion is second. All in favor?
Aye.
Motion to execute the purchase of service agreement between Bellefield Village and the County of Pike on behalf of the Children and Youth Services.
Motion.
Second.
Motion is second, all in favor? Aye. Motion to execute the contract for professional services between Valeria and Counseling Associates in the County of Pike on behalf of the Children and Youth Services.
Motion.
Second.
Motion is second, all in favor?
Aye.
Motion to execute the purchase of service agreement between Pennsylvania Treatment and Healing and the County of Pike on behalf of the Children and Youth Services.
Motion.
Second.
Motion is second, all in favor?
Aye.
Motion to execute the purchase of service agreement between Passavant Memorial Homes Incorporated and the County of Pike on behalf of the Children and Youth Services.
Motion.
Motion is second, all in favor?
Aye.
Motion to approve the 2023 Community Development Block Grant Program payment voucher payable to Hailstone Economics in the amount of $885 on behalf of the Office of Human Services.
Motion.
Second.
Motion is second, all in favor?
Aye.
Motion to approve the Pike County Home Program payment voucher payable to Frank the Etch in the amount of $2,100 on behalf of the Office of Human Services.
Motion.
Second.
Motion is second, all in favor?
Aye.
Motion to authorize the chairman to execute the Delaware Water Gap National Recreation Area application for special use permit.
Motion.
Second.
Motion is second, all in favor?
Aye.
Motion to execute the contract between Eric Hamill and the County of Pike for services as acting chief public defender.
Motion.
Second.
Motion is second, all in favor? The miscellaneous, as every meeting, we have the Penn State Extension calendar events for everyone's information. And then we move to press and public comment.
One of the Compton for the Pike County Dispatch. I was just wondering if the Lions Club will continue its stewardship or if they'll be working under the national park.
No, it would be the Lions Club. Once we have the land permit, then the direction would come from the county commissioners. We would, make sure that it meets all the criteria of putting the star up. And then we would reach out to the Lions Club, the Rotary Club, whichever organization in the community wanted to put the star up. And we would help them obviously do that. It will take a financial commitment from the community. There'll have to be a fundraiser done, but no need to do a fundraiser until we have the access to the land because there's no place to put the star right now.
Right. Okay, thank you.
You're welcome. Anyone else?
Apologize for being late today's commissioners meeting. The reason being is I just got the text regarding the packet for today's meeting and it had in it the conversations for the last several sessions. And at the same time, I was in the middle of reading a new book by Kyle Crawford called Ambiguity is the Answer. Ambiguity meaning living in the gray spaces as opposed to everything always having to be black or white, one way or the other. In the last several commission sessions, the topics of hospital, the topics of a change in the sheriff's auction bidding process, and even the topic of a community effort at a borough level, municipal level, now raised up to a county level of restoring the Milford Star up at Nob Hill. And as several people in this room know, I tend to be a black or white guy. It's always one way or another due to my background in the federal government in Milford. And the more I read over the packet for the last 1 or 2 meetings, and then reading this book, Ambiguity is the Answer. Not being a religious person, I kind of had an epiphany or an awareness that it's quite all right, especially as we experience public meetings like this that the commissioners allow us to have, to live and address things in a gray area and let things kind of settle down before decisions are made or even before you come in here with an idea to debate an issue without all the facts. So When it comes to the hospital, or restore the store, or, even a change in a county elected official like the sheriff's decision, it's okay to look at things in this little area in our minds that can fluctuate and bounce around, and allow ourselves to kind of gently reside there for a while before we kind of jump into this. I'm going to beat the living daylights out of Matt or Ron or Krista with half facts, or not fully understanding the process that they're going through. If we score the star with Rob Bresnahan, or a hospital with respect to population demographics, or a sheriff's auction bidding process with respect to, there's nothing wrong about allowing us to have more bidders in the mix as opposed to maybe the status quo of having just a handful of local realtors always, in the action in the mix. So that's why I was late today, and I apologize for that. And I just wanted to let that be known. And lastly, due to the fact that I was for a long time, for the last 10, 15 years, living in a black and white world, apologize to the commissioners, and now accepting the possibility of, as the public, living in a gray area for a period of time until we get all the facts on any subject matter. And then, we voted for them, we elected them, whether it be at the municipal level, the county level, the state level, or the presidential level. And, just accept that as possibly a new reality, a new way of looking at things. Living in a rigorous manner. Thank you, and again, I apologize for being late.
Anyone else?
I would like to ask, on Commissioner Smallsley's interview on the television, you indicated that all documents for check number 843 have been submitted. Is that correct?
I don't want him to answer that, ma'am, because you're in the middle of litigation, so unless you're
Well,
telling me that. No,
okay.
my turn.
All right, okay, you don't have to
I
answer.
said
You don't
no.
have to answer.
Good.
I would like to just speak. I have reviewed all of the documents that were submitted, and I would like everyone to know that not one document that was submitted contained the signature of the actual owner of that property. A county employee signed in the place of the owner, and no legal document has been shown to give that person the authority to authorize construction on that person's private property. I have asked an attorney and been told that that creates a liability for the taxpayers. I have also asked the PHFA if a county employee is allowed to do that, and I have been told that a legal agreement would need to be in place in order for that to be a legal action. I have also asked them if a deed restriction or a lien was required to be put on that property in order for them to receive that grant funding of that large amount of over $125,000, and was told by them that a deed restriction for 10 years ensuring that low-income housing would remain
That's not accurate.
available. That is
That's
what,
not accurate.
I can show you an email from
Ma'am.
PHFA
Ma'am.
that
Ma'am.
tells me that.
Listen, you've raised this issue for over a year. My turn. You had two auditors, as you've now been told, it takes two minimum to make a decision. The other two don't agree with you at all, have never supported your claims. Now, ma'am, I'm at a point where you continue, you've contacted the DA, the Attorney General, anybody who could complain about this issue. They've all told you in a nice way, you're wrong, and you still want to continue. You're more than welcome to keep spending your money, but all you're doing for the taxpayer is creating a false image that anything has gone wrong. It hasn't. It's done properly. Your auditors, and you already signed last year that everything's fine. Ma'am, yes, signed. So at this point, ma'am, You're still in litigation, you have the right to appeal, God help you if you want to appeal, go ahead. But I'm telling him not to respond, and I would ask with all due respect, your issues have been raised by yourself many times, it's done. Take your action as you want, but the issue's resolved. Not to your satisfaction, but the issue's resolved. Because
Not one person has told me that I am wrong. They have told me that others,
I
this other
disagree.
person
I
doesn't find
disagree.
a problem.
I've told you you're
Because
wrong.
they choose
They've
to
told you you're
ignore
wrong.
that there's a problem.
Wait,
Ma'am,
does
we're
not
done.
mean it's not
We're
there.
done. Have a nice day. You're done.
You know, we need to clear this. You did ask a question, I'm just gonna make a point of this. You asked a question of fair, not using your county email, by the way, using your personal email, and you asked somebody lower in the lower level. You received a comment on that same day from Clay Lambert, who directly said, PFA does not require a lien be placed on the
He
property.
said it was a local decision, a local
Yeah,
government
That's right,
decision.
so
There's
we
no need to
follow,
put
that's
a
right,
lien
so
on
we,
the property.
we follow
None.
FAIR's guidance. You're right, it's our decision. There was none needed, so it's the end of the story. I don't know why this is a big deal.
I would also like everybody to be aware that the current indenture on that property that states that they will provide low-income housing was dated December of 1996. Looks like it's going to expire next year. And then for whatever reason, that property owner could choose to increase the rent. They could choose to no longer provide that low-income housing. And the investment of taxpayer dollars is now protected.
Ma'am,
I'm
your
just
your
letting everybody know
assumptions
that.
aren't even accurate. I was the solicitor. It was actually done in 91 and 92. That was the company that originally did it. They've continued throughout the process, and there is no indication that they're not going to continue with the low-income housing. So your premises that you keep raising, with all due respect, are starting to remind me of Don Quixote. You keep seeing windmills and issues, and no one else does, but you don't want to listen to anybody. That's fine, you have the right to make those arguments. But with all due respect to the taxpayers, I think your statements are inaccurate. I've told you they're inaccurate. I've worked with those two auditors, with Tom Ferran and the other auditor, for years. Never had a problem. Anything they wanted, they asked, we gave it to them. There's at least two, and it was very informal. No, my turn. You have now made this such a hostile environment that I think you're making the two auditors uncomfortable. I know from now on, I've always told these commissioners they have to be careful, because if they do something wrong, be surcharged. But with your attitude, I think even if they do everything right, you're going to surcharge them. So with all due respect, you can make your comments, but not at these meetings anymore.
So
You're
here's
still in
your,
litigation.
here's your audit from 24 to 23. No findings of this. Why not? No, why not? Because if this is such an egregious finding.
What we are
then you
putting
why-
on that is the county's financial situation. That money was spent, and it is documented there that it was spent.
But you're telling
I'm
us.
still hopeful that there was documentation stating that
Why
there was
didn't
some
you
legal
include that
agreement in
in
place.
here?
There's no
There's nowhere for
documentation,
me to
ma'am.
place anything like
You
that.
can put,
I was
listen,
still
this is
hopeful.
your
There's
document.
also nothing in the county
There
code
is
that
33
prevents us from
pages.
going back further than 1 year. So I knew that I could revisit that problem in the future.
That's it.
Well, I guess since we're all speaking, I have a question. I have a couple. I know I personally encouraged you, Judy, to seek out those answers when you felt like you weren't getting the answers directly from the commissioner's office or any other county department. I specifically said and encouraged you, contact the state department, the state agency or the state office to get the correct answer. If you feel like this answer is not correct, or if you feel like there's something gray, you have the right as a county person, a county employee, the auditor, and a taxpayer to go look for the answer, which you did. The answer was a little vague. The county had the ability to enforce a lien. It may be an oversight, may not be. But what we're not talking about is a malfeasance. What we're not talking about is theft of funds or misappropriation. And for me, that's the concern, right? Policies, people make mistakes. This event predates me, but if there are policy mistakes made, we can correct those things. I just don't want an environment where we're spinning our wheels, going back and forth over something that really doesn't cause any harm to the county. If there's harm caused, bring it to me.
This has the potential for harm.
No,
Well, the
ma'am.
only harm.
No,
okay.
it doesn't, ma'am. No, it doesn't. So the newspapers and the public can hear that, no, it doesn't.
I have been told by another
Ma'am, I don't
attorney that
care,
it does.
ma'am, I got
He's
news for
our
you.
attorney.
I'm the attorney. I've been here 17 years and
And
before
you have
that,
an
two
attorney.
others. You have your own private attorney who made this argument that you're entitled to the document on your own
I asked our
without, and she
county
lost.
solicitor for
And
the
she lost.
auditors if it created liability for the taxpayer.
The answer is no,
They said
ma'am.
it does.
No, it does not. No, it does not. So stop raising issues that don't apply. Can we continue on with the?
Yep.
the-
Anybody else? Hey, Kevin.
Kevin, how about just from there? What's your comment?
I thought, what I said a couple of minutes ago, I thought would bring some attention to an underlying situation with respect to elected officials and their representatives and us as the public.
Well, with all due respect, sometimes it doesn't, Kevin. I recognize your comments before. With all due respect, the court ruled, we made a decision. Thanks for your input. Okay? I get your comments.
Oh, no. This goes deeper than that, so. I spent the last year of my life being almost like Don Quixote. It started out with trying to help an issue dealing with hate. Then it kind of backfired because I used incorrect or inappropriate language. Then it escalated into a multi-state issue that I won't get into. It also involved the whole processes of government and public interfaces with respect to right to know, FOIL, freedom of information, and all that. And I gathered a heck of a lot of data. Some of it proved certain things, some of it didn't prove certain things. But now, looking at today, which is August 20th, which is an anniversary in history, if people go on Google, a lot of weird things that happened in America. One of which was August 20th was the first day in 1698 that African Americans were brought into America. And it took 243 years, 1868, with Horace Greeley trying to convince Abraham Lincoln to emancipate slaves. And the reason why I'm saying this is because things take time, and things take heat, and things take unnecessary vitriol, violence, and anger. Personally, I've put this group of individuals through pure hell. Personally, in my own mind, I believe that the reason why this young lady is here in this room for the past year is because of the stupidity of what I did. Your name is Shannon. About a year ago. To some extent. I mean, I pushed you to do things that maybe you didn't have to do. And I did the same thing with our solicitor. Sometimes, again, living in the gray area, some battles aren't worth fighting. And you're learning that the hard way. I learned it the hard way. I hope other people in this room, as well as the public, when they read these notes, it's not worth it. It's not worth it. And please, life is too short. Life is too short. I'm sorry, solicitor.
Thank you, Kevin.
Nothing else?
You're welcome.
Motion to adjourn.